Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
What's going on, everybody? This is Build a Brand Wednesday, and you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Man, you call this Hump Day Wednesday. I called it Build a Brand Wednesday. Why? Because Wednesday, we need to make sure we are continuing to go hard and use this day as a brick in the foundation or in the building, whatever stage and season that you are in, to keep building to get to accomplish the end of the week, what we're trying to accomplish. So today's show is not about motivation. This is exposure, because a lot of people are saying they're waiting on the right moment, waiting on the opportunity, waiting on the door to open. But the truth is, excuse me, I had to spit go down. But the truth is, you're not waiting, you are avoiding the discipline, avoiding the pressure, avoiding the consistency required to actually become the person who can handle the moment you say you won't. This whole week, we've been talking about preparation. Monday, we dealt with the calling. Yesterday, we dealt with qualifying in private. But today, we deal with behavior, because you can't build a brand, you can't build a life, you can't build anything sustainable if you keep avoiding the work required to grow. And today is not about feeling good, it's about getting real. Because until you confront what you avoid, you will keep repeating what you say you want to escape. Let's go. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Join us on this heavenly journey, one song at a time, Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Build a Brand Wednesday. We are talking about you want the moment, but you are avoiding the work. Let's correct something right now. You are not stuck. You are not waiting. You are not blocked. You are avoiding. And that's a hard truth, because it removes all of your excuses. Because once you realize you're not stuck, now you have to deal with the fact that you've been choosing not to move. Not because you don't want success, but because the work attached to success make you uncomfortable. And if we're honest, it's easier to say it's not my time yet than to admit I'm not doing what I need to do consistently. That's where growth begins, when the excuses run out. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise.
You're riding the waves of faith and grace on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Build a Brand Wednesday. Let's talk about avoidance is emotional, not logical. This is where most people misunderstand themselves. You think you're avoiding work because of time? You're not. You are avoiding it because of how it makes you feel. Pressure, doubt, uncertainty, exposure. So instead of confronting the feelings, you avoid the task. And now you build a life where your emotions are controlling your execution. Instead of leading your emotions, you are being led by them. And anything that controls your behavior controls your results. I'm going to say that again. Anything that controls your behavior controls your results. So the real issue isn't your schedule, it's your emotional discipline. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and we're talking about you want the moment, but you are avoiding the work. Yes. Let's go deeper. You don't hate the work. You hate what the work reveals. It reveals your gaps. It reveals your inconsistency. It reveals that you're not as disciplined as you thought. And instead of letting that push you to grow, you run from it. Because exposure without maturity feels like attack. But exposure is actually instructions. And until you stop taking corrections personal, you'll keep avoiding the very thing that will develop you. Growth requires confrontation. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. This is Build a Brand Wednesday. Let's look at scripture alignment. Doing versus hearing. This is why the word is so clear in James 1:22. Be you doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. That's not just spiritual, that's behavioral. Because when you know what to do and don't do it, you're not confused, you are avoiding. And the Bible calls it what it is, self-deception. And self-deception is dangerous because you can convince yourself you're progressing while your life is actually standing still. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
What's going on, good people, on this Build a Brand Wednesday? Is it feeling good where you are? It might be cold, it might be hot, it might be warm. Whatever it is, guess what? You are alive. So I just want you to give God thanks, give him glory, give him the highest praise. Hallelujah, that you are alive, regardless what the weather is, regardless what you are going through, because guess what? The battle is not yours, it's the Lord. So let's talk about pattern, starting but not finishing. Let's expose the pattern. You start strong, you get excited, you move for a few days, then you just bloop up, disappear. Then you restart again, then you bloop up, disappear again. That's not a lack of opportunity, that's inconsistency. And inconsistency will drain more potential than failure ever will. Because failure teaches you, but inconsistency confuses you. You never stay in a position long enough to see the results compound. People, we got to stick with it. So if you told yourself, hey, this week I'm going to record 4 podcasts, record them. I know at the first one, you probably have to do the editing yourself. You probably have to write the articles yourself. You probably have to do the posting yourself. And it seems like a lot. It is a lot. But guess what? Just stay consistent with it and watch the pattern. Your pattern, watch your content grow, watch people start following you, and watch. You would be happy. You would be like, whoa, I got 5 weeks worth of content. Oh, I got 1 week worth of content. Start and continue to grow. Don't have the pattern of disappearing. Start strong. You're excited with the idea, and then you disappear when you figure out, oh, this is going to take a lot of work. I don't know if I got the time. You got the time. You got the time. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and this is Build a Brand Wednesday, and we're talking about you want the moment, but you are avoiding the work. Let's talk about the recycle. The reset cycle is killing you. Every time you stop and restart, you pay a price. You lose momentum, you lose clarity, you lose confidence. And now you've trained yourself to live in cycles instead of progress. So now your life looks busy, but it's not moving forward. And the dangerous part of this, you've normalized restarting. Instead of disciplining yourself to stay consistent, you normalize restarting. And success doesn't come from restarting. It comes from continuing. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Bringing the sounds of heaven 24/7, Wave Radio.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Let's talk about avoidance disguised as productivity. Now, let's deal with the real issue. You're not doing nothing. You're doing the wrong things. You're answering emails, watching videos, tweaking small details, planning, research. It looks like work, but it's not the work that moves your life. It's safe work. It's comfortable work. It's work that doesn't require you to be judged. And that's why you stay there. Let's call it what it is, people. You've built a routine that protects you from pressure, but also keep you from your progress. And until you prioritize impact work over comfortable work, nothing changes. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and this is Build a Brand Wednesday. How many of y'all are part of the BBNP? I know you're probably saying, what is the BBNP? I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. Busy, but not productive. You can be busy all day and still avoid the one thing that matters. That sales call, that content creation, that execution step, because real work requires exposure and fake work protects the comfort. So now you build a routine that helps you feel productive while keeping you stuck. And feelings don't build results, execution does. So the question becomes, what are you doing every day that actually move your life forward? You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Your brand is built on behavior. Now, let's bring this to brands. Your brand is not what you say, it's what you consistently do. So if you're inconsistent, that's your brand. If you start and stop, that's your brand. If you avoid pressure, that's your brand. And people don't need to hear your message. They just need to watch your patterns, because behavior communicates louder than words ever will. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. This is Build a Brand Wednesday, and we are talking about you want the moment, but you are avoiding the work. Let's talk about what people actually experience. And I'm touching on what we talked about last week also too. So I'm bringing some of all the other shows into this show right here. So you might remember when I said people don't experience your intentions, they experience your patterns. Do you show up consistently? Do you finish what you start? Do you bring value regularly? Or do you disappear because whatever they experience, that's who you are to them? And once people form that experience, they stop reevaluating you. So now your inconsistency becomes your identity in their eyes. That's how brands are lost. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
What's going on in this good Build a Brand Wednesday? Yes, it is Wednesday. We are halfway through the week. I hope that you are still going strong, but I want you to finish strong too. When Friday get here, if that's the end of your week, or whatever Saturday, if that's the end of your week, I want you to say, man, I completed something. I did something that I never done before that moved my life forward. That's what I want you to do, okay? But let's talk about something I talked about yesterday. Visibility without capacity. This is where it gets dangerous. You want visibility, you want the moment, you want the spotlight, but you're not building the capacity to handle it. So if the moment showed up today, it would expose you. And pressure doesn't build you, it reveals you. So if you haven't trained, if you haven't prepared, the moment you're praying for will become the moment that breaks you. And I'm gonna say that again. If you haven't trained and if you haven't prepared, the moment you are praying for will become the moment that breaks you. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. How many of you all are waiting for the perfect conditions? I know a lot of you all. We all were once there, waiting for the right time, waiting for the right moment, waiting for this to happen, waiting for that to happen. But let's look at Ecclesiastic 11:4. He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the cloud shall not reap. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you would never move. Because waiting is often just another form of avoidance. You're watching conditions instead of committing to discipline. And discipline doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It creates progress in imperfect ones. Some of you are not waiting on God. You're waiting on comfort. You're not seeking clarity. You're seeking ease. You're not trying to be led. You're trying to be reassured. And as long as you need everything to feel right before you move, you will stay in the same place. Because growth does not come from perfect conditions. It comes with commitment and imperfect ones. So I'll say that again. Because growth does not come from perfect conditions. It comes with commitment and imperfect ones. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise on this Build a Brand Wednesday. How many of you want it? How many of you want the moment? But let me ask you, are you working? Are you preparing yourself for the moment? Are you scared of the work? Are you scared you might fail? Something might not go right? Are you waiting for the perfect moment? If that's you, pause and stop. Because the work you're avoiding is the key. Let's get real now. The exact work you keep avoiding is the work that will change your life. That uncomfortable task, that disciplined routine, that consistent execution, that's the door. But you keep walking past it because it costs something. Yes, it costs you to be focused, it costs more effort, and it costs you to be consistent. And most people want results without paying the cost. You keep asking, what's next? But you already know what's next. You've been avoiding it. That call you don't want to make, that system you don't want to build, that habit you don't want to commit to, that's not random. That's required. And until you stop negotiating with the work, you will keep negotiating with the future. Let me say that again. And until you stop negotiating with the work, you will keep negotiating with your future. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise on this Build a Brand Wednesday. A lot of you all are choosing comfort over calling. This is where conviction hits. You're not blocked. You're choosing comfort over calling because calling requires responsibility. Calling requires consistency. Calling requires discipline. And comfort lets you delay all of that. But every day you choose comfort, you push your calling further away. And at some point, delay becomes denial. You keep saying I'm called, but your habits don't reflect it. Your discipline doesn't reflect it. Your consistency doesn't reflect it. Calling is not proven by what you say. It's proven by what you sustain. And if your life doesn't match your calling, then your comfort is louder than your conviction. And I was once there. I hate doing content for social media. I'd rather just go live, let the show go, and that's it. But I understand what type of world we're in. I have to do the show. I have to go back and create content with the show so that I can load it up on the podcast platforms. I have to go back and cut video for Opus Clips to put it on the social media. I have to go back and redo my scripts so that I can post articles. It's a lot to go in on one show. And at one point I was like, that's a lot of work, but I understand my calling is attached to my teaching. My calling is attached to me communicating to other people what God needs me to communicate. So I had to get consistent with what I do around these shows. So I'm not speaking from just saying, I'm just saying. No, I'm talking from experience. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. This is Build a Brand Wednesday, and we're talking about you want the moment, but you are avoiding the work. You are training yourself not to trust yourself. Every time you say you're going to do something and don't do it, you weaken your own trust. Not nobody else's, but your own trust. Now you don't believe yourself anymore. Now your words have no weight, not to others and not to you. And when you lose trust in yourself, you lose power. Because discipline isn't just about results. It's about integrity with yourself. You're not just missing tasks. You are breaking agreements with yourself. And every broken agreement trains your mind to take you less seriously. Hear what I said. Every broken agreement trains your mind. I'm not talking about nobody else, but your mind to take you less seriously. So now when you say, I'm about to change, your own mind doesn't even respond. Excuse me. Because it's heard that before. And until your actions start matching your words, you will keep living in cycles of intentions without transformation. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wave Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. My time is up. It's been good on this Build a Brand Wednesday. I want to leave you with this. Let's close this the right way. You don't need another plan. You don't need more information. You don't need another opportunity. You need to stop avoiding the work, because preparation builds capacity, and capacity is what sustains the moment. So here's the real question. What is the one thing you've been avoiding that you know you need to do? That's your assignment. That's your assignment. And I said the same thing yesterday, and I said it the day before. I'm gonna keep saying it. What is the one thing you've been avoiding that you know you need to do? And again, that's your assignment. That's your next level. That's your breakthrough. Because until you face that, you will keep wanting moments you're not prepared to handle. And your brand will always reflect what you refuse to confront. This is not about motivation. This is about decision. Because at some point, you have to stop listening and start executing. You have to stop identifying the problem and start correcting the behavior. So today, this moment right here, not next week, not the next hour, not in a couple hours, but this moment right here. Not next week, not tomorrow, but this moment. Not when you feel ready, not when it's convenient, but this moment right here. You make the decision to face what you've been avoiding, to do what you've been delaying, to become who your calling requires. Because the moment you keep asking for it, it's already waiting on the version of you that stops avoiding the work. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, and I will catch you tomorrow on Thrive Thursday. I'm out of here. Peace.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wave Radio.